Hey y'all, so I'm going to make this video. I've got a good friend that missed a clinic a little while ago, and she saw some of her friends that were at the same clinic picking up their right leads, and oddly enough, we had several horses that were having a tough time picking up their right lead. Left lead was just fine, right lead was sticky, and the friend that missed the clinic, unfortunately, she is also having trouble with the right lead. So I'm going to show you a few things on what I look for to kind of help set my horse up for success in the right lead. For the sake of the video, I'm just going to focus on the right lead. You can do all of this just opposite for the left lead. This is a real nice horse. I've ridden this horse twice, once about a week ago and then once now. So, you know, me and this horse, we're just kind of getting to know each other. But this is a horse that knows her leads. She knows how to set her body up appropriately, but I don't have a horse in training right now that I am having trouble with the leads, so I just figured I'd show you on this horse. So let's just break it down. If I want the right lead, then I want my hips to the inside, right lead, so I want the hips to the right, I want the shoulders to the left, and I want the nose tipped to the right. So that's how I would like my horses set up to pick up a balanced, powerful through right lead. There are other ways to get it, but those are the ways, the ingredients that I look for when I'm setting a horse up for their lead departures. So one little thing that I like to do is I'll ride a right hand circle. I'm going to ask this horse by picking up on my rein. Now picking up on the rein isn't enough. When I pick up on the rein, they have to give me the nose to the right. I'm going to keep my right leg by that front cinch. That's going to tell this horse to keep her shoulders to my left. And I'll slide my right leg back. And in this little move, I want to maintain the forward, and I want her hips to be on the inside of that circle a little bit more than her shoulders. So that's going to start to talk about the hip control and the shoulder control with what we call proper flexion. So nose to the inside, right leg's over there pushing the shoulders, left leg's back pushing those hips to the inside. So I'm kind of doing a circle with her wrapped around my inside leg, putting a little bit more emphasis on the hips. If we can get the hips lined up, 9 times out of 10 we'll get our leads. But the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my legs the same, keep my nose flexion the same, and I'm going to ride a left-handed circle with my horse bent to the outside. So now I'm going to do a left-handed circle, and I want her shoulders to the inside, and I want her hips a little bit to the outside. See how much nose flexion she's giving me? That's pretty good. That's good. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Kind of got lazy on my hips there, so I'm going to ask her to bring her shoulders in. Now notice I said she was getting lazy on the hips, so I brought her shoulders in. If I can't move the hips, I'll move the shoulders. Get the shoulders out of the way, and then the hips will go. A little bit more life in her body. A little bit more nose flexion. And I'm just asking her to give me a left-handed circle with her hips out a little bit and her shoulders in a little bit. So those are some ways that you can work on the flexions with your horse. And this is stuff that you want to get going pretty good at the walk, the trot, because that's going to help you when you start to canter. Another really good one that I like to do is I'll ask this horse for a trot into my left, and I'm going to ask her to maintain the trot, but give me that right flexion. Maintain the trot, give me that right flexion, and I'll just kind of counter bend her as I'm trotting to the left. I'll ask her to bring her nose to the right. And then I can go back to proper flexion. Nose tip to the inside. And then I can go back to counter bent, nose tip to the outside. So your horses are going to start to get used to us manipulating their nose and manipulating their shoulders and their hips. A lot of times, and this happened a lot at that clinic I was teaching, a lot of times the horses weren't picking up the correct lead the right lead because their ribs were getting pushed to the inside or their shoulders were falling to the inside. So when we ask our horses for a lead, when I ask my horses for a lead, say I'm asking for the right lead, I'll slide my left leg back, my right leg forward, and that right leg forward up by the cinch needs to be effective in pushing the shoulders to the outside. Now generally when we ask for a canter, that's kind of our depart position with our legs, and then we bring our legs back underneath us so that we can ride athletically and balanced. But a lot of times what horses will do is they'll let you set them up really nice, and then in that moment of the depart, they'll get a little bit scawampus, and they'll pick up the wrong lead or they'll cow canter or something. And the reason they do that is because they're leaking the ribs to the inside or leaking the shoulders to the inside. So when your horse starts doing that, you can keep your right leg on there, ask them for the canter, keep that right leg on there for a few strides, maybe pick up your hand and ask for that right flexion a little bit more, and then once your horse is confirmed and in the canter, then you can go back to riding. Get your legs underneath you and go back to riding athletically. And you'll find some horses that prefer a little bit more inside leg, kind of picking that shoulder up, as opposed to more outside leg driving the hips. So it's, you kind of got to figure out what your horse wants. But when I'm at the walk, I'll keep that right leg up there by that front cinch. I'll ask this horse to tip her nose to the right, slide that left leg back, ask for the hips to go to the inside, and then I can ask for a right lead depart. Good. Now, what also can happen a lot of times, and I'm just throwing darts at you because there's more than one way to skin a cat, and there's a bunch of ways to get your lead changes, and there's a bunch of ways to kind of mess it up. If I ask my horse for the canter and they immediately start throwing those shoulders to the inside, what I can do is I can literally pick up both reins, say pick your head up, unweight your shoulders, and then move your shoulders to the outside. So I want them yielding off of my leg, but I also want to be able to pick my horses up, say get that weight off of your shoulders, regardless of what my legs are saying, follow that rein and move your shoulders. So sometimes in that canter depart, I'll pick up on my reins, push their shoulders to the outside, and then ask for a depart. And I'll try to demonstrate that for you. So I'm walking, I got my leg on here, up here by my cinch. Say my horse isn't responding appropriately, then I'm going to ask for that right flexion, pick up both reins, let her get nice and soft in my hands, pick her up, move her shoulders literally to my left, and then ask her for the right lead depart. And then going back to what I said before, you know, I'll take the time preparing the position for the transition. She doesn't need me to do this, but I'll just do it for y'all. Prepare the position for the transition. She's not pulling on my hand. She's got that right flexion. My right leg's up there by that front cinch. I'll ask her for a canter, and I'll keep that right leg on. So my left leg's back, my right leg's forward, and I'm kind of reminding her, I'm still figuring out her buttons and trying to talk at the same time, but I'll keep that right leg on her, that left leg back, and I'm going to keep that right rein up to kind of keep asking her for that flexion. And then once we are confirmed in the canter, then I can kind of put some slack in the reins, put my legs back underneath me, and then I can start to ride wherever I was going to go. But I sometimes have to keep that leg on for a few meters to make sure that their shoulders are where they need to be. So the hip control is huge, but the shoulders and ribs are huge also. And some horses can push their ribs in and shoulders in quite a bit without messing up their lead. Some horses get really unbalanced when they just come in a scooch. So that's where you as a rider is going to have to be really attentive and feel your horse through your legs and say, okay, they're pushing into that right leg a little bit. I got to get them off that right leg. The ribs are pushing into my right leg a little bit. I got to get them off that leg. Pushing into my shoulders, got to move the shoulders. Another good way to help your horse with the leads, right lead, is go start doing a leg yield. So I'm going to ride towards the camera. I'm going to prepare the position. The position and the transition are more important to me than the horse sustaining or picking up the canter. I'm going to put my right leg on by those ribs, get that horse moving laterally, and then keep that right leg on, and I can ask that horse for a canter depart. And like I said before, if they're pushing into that leg at any time in that inside leg, I can pick up an inside rein, put that inside leg on them, and then when they get nice and soft and balanced, then I can put them legs underneath me, put my legs back underneath and ride the horse. But anytime they start pushing into that inside leg, I'm going to push them off of that outside leg, maybe even put them into a little bit of a leg yield. Back. And then once everything's going good, I can throw her some slack in the reins, and then her release will be on that right lead, and I'm not having to do to keep her in that lead. So those are some tips to pick up your right lead, and if you were working on your left lead, you do the exact same thing but opposite, working on the left. But let's just go through this again. One thing we can do is have them going to the left, nose tipped to the right, front leg up by the cinch, asking for those shoulders to go to the inside. That's going to help open up your horse's shoulders. It's going to help with the balance. The other thing that we can play with is I can ask my horse to do a circle to the right with that nose really tipped to the inside. Pick up that rein until I get that nose, left leg back, push those hips in, but either the hips need to be leading, and if the hips aren't leading, maybe sometimes instead of driving that hip more, think about picking your reins up, moving the shoulders over, and then making room for those hips to go through and start leading. So through the leg yielding, through the shoulders control, the rib control, and that nose flexion, your leads will pretty much kind of fall into place because the horse is set up such that they kind of have to take the right lead. But they can't be sticky in the ribs and they can't be sticky in the shoulders. So anytime you feel that horse pushing into a leg, you're going to get them off that leg, whether it's through the leg yield or going back to the isolation exercises. And then when you ask for that canter, just kind of stay in that canter depart position for a few strides until they're confirmed in it, and then let them go. And I haven't seen any videos of my friend riding, but I would imagine the shoulders or the ribs are probably pushing in. So that's kind of where I would start right there, is making sure that you can push the ribs out. Basically, leg yield is a really good one to help push the ribs out. And then just make sure that you can tip that nose to the right and you can swing the shoulders like that. And once all that's going good for you, then you can get your horse set up and you can pick up your leads. One last little tidbit is I like that my horse is cantering forward. So once they give me that lead, I'm going to ride forward, 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 keep the life in their body, keep your energy up, and have that horse ride so they're not thinking sucking back, they're thinking cantering, because they can break gait and then pick up the wrong lead sometimes so dang fast there's not much we can do about it. So those are some things that I would work on to help pick up your right lead. If you have any more questions, let me know. I can make another video and try to explain things a little bit better. We'll go home, try those things, really feel where your horse is at. Are they truly between your legs, truly between your reins? Can you operate the nose, shoulders, haunches, ribs independently of everything else on the body? And then put all that together and you'll get your lead changes. Okay, thanks for watching. Y'all take care.